What is up, my nerds? Welcome to Table Ready. My name is Noah, and this is the Critical Review, where I critically review every episode of Campaign 3 of Critical Role. Each one of my reviews should be taken with the same amount of seriousness as any kind of criticism from Chetney. Today, things go a little bit different. We're going to do review, theories, and then ratings. Let's hop straight into the review. We begin with the party and Chetney headed to the Spire by Fire for a chat. Now, it sucks losing characters, but it is so sweet meeting new ones. He makes contact with the party in order to hire them for a job. He's heard that they're good at finding people who are lost, and he's missing someone named Gurge. Gurge is described as kind of a messy-haired, tall, lanky cat. Think R.J. Lupin-esque. But when asked about Gurge, Chetney is pretty much as secretive as Ashton is on everything else. So Letters and Laudna try to good Wilder, bad Wilder, with Fresh Cut Grass being the bad Wilder. It's fun to watch, but pretty unsuccessful. Seems as though Chetney is pretty inflappable. During the conversation with the gnome, who basically hires them in exchange for hand-carved toys, Orym notices the same hooded figure who we all know as Cyrus in the bar following them. Upon being noticed, Cyrus leaves the Spire by Fire, Orym and Chetney giving chase. Pretty good at dodging them and keeps pace away until Orym just says,
"Come on, man." Seriously?
Roll a persuasion check.
I'm gonna go ahead and drop a 10 out of 10 on that moment right now. It was hilarious, it was so good, and sometimes the best solution is the simplest. Thanks, Liam. Cyrus stops to speak with Orym and lets him know that he really is only interested in speaking to Dorian. So, Orym goes and gets Dorian to come speak to him, and Dorian brings the entire party. There's a lengthy back and forth between Cyrus and Dorian, with secrets trying to be kept, but eventually a lot of their story and background is laid out there for everyone to see at the Spire by Fire. Dorian's real name is, and please, anyone with a lisp hates this name, Wyvern Bronte's second son, Wyvern Wind. His brother is Cyrus Wyvern Wind. They both come from a family of basically Ganassi elite pope people who advise and resolve conflict in their global family. Cyrus is next in line, but if something were to happen to Cyrus, it would be Dorian, in order to take up the mantle and advise the rest of these Ganassi. Dorian could be on the throne sooner than we think if things don't go better for Cyrus. Cyrus has gotten himself in quite a bit of trouble, mounting up a 20,000 gold bounty. But it wasn't his fault. He was hired on a job to protect a caravan, led by someone named Nova. The crew protected the caravan until they stopped and decided to rob it, leaving Cyrus with all the blame. They stole some kind of odd golem out of a crate that had the initials LH on it. If Cyrus doesn't come up with the money or find the golem, then someone will probably find him and try to kill him, which is why he's joined up with the Corsair, who are protecting him in the meantime. This fact does piss his brother off. Dorian seems to have little patience for his brother's adventures. Dorian seems to have finally found something that was his own adventure, his own individualism, and now it seems as though his older brother is just going to make a bigger and badder stamp on that as well. You gotta love siblings. It's during this conversation that Imogen makes a connection. The initials that are seen on the box that held the golem are the same initials that she saw when looking at the letter Ashton tried to keep secret from everyone. Ashton still sees this as something not quite important enough to tell the rest of the party just yet. The party's already been commissioned by Chet to look for his missing friend. So Cyrus decides that he's going to take responsibility for his own stuff and leaves Dorian and the rest of the party, but not before Dorian gives him one half of the sending stones. I'm realizing now how little regard Dorian has for the cost of things. He throws platinum at the theater and then just gives away half of these sending stones, which costs a lot of money. It drives me crazy to see him spend money like that, but it's also awesome. It's such a subtle commitment to his character. You bring your character's flaws in with subtlety, which I think is underrated. For that, I'm going to give you an 8 out of 10. The next morning, the party heads over to Gurge's temporary abode. Chetney picks the lock so that the party can investigate. There's no evidence of shade creepers here, but there are claw marks. The investigation is interrupted by Cyrus, a half-elven woman who is frustrated by all the disruptions that have been happening in the area, including in this room. She tells the party that there have been dire wolf attacks, magical explosions, and all kinds of bad things going on. Wrapping up their investigation, they find 2 clues. First, the claw marks of what would be a small dire wolf. Second, they find that blood has been kind of cleaned up off of the surfaces, even if not done very well. This is where all the werewolf theories come in, and I'm here for it, but just a little bit later. Let's finish the review. Our adventurers go to speak to some guards about what's been happening lately, especially the direwolf attacks. It's determined that the guards aren't being completely honest with them, so Fern takes off after them as a rat in order to, peer in on their conversations with their boss. She overhears their higher up tell them to let the party know that Gurge was arrested and will be released sometime in the near future. No one seems to believe that. Quickly turning to leave, one of the guards steps on Fern. She bamfs out of her rat form into full druid form, and that's where the episode ends. That review just talks about what happened. If you haven't watched the episode, go back and watch it. If you have watched it, watch it again. It was so funny and worth every moment that I watched last night. Quick theory talk before we get to the rest of the ratings. A lot of chat and a lot of you seem to think that Chet is a werewolf. And I understand why. 1, Travis wants to play a werewolf. He said he wants to, we all know this. 2, for a gnome rogue, Chet's strength is abnormally high, which comes with becoming a werewolf. 3rd, Chetney has the temperament that you'd expect from a wolfman. And 4th, the direwolf attacks started when Chetney got in town, and one of these attacks happened in the room of the person that he was looking for. That being said, I don't think that Chetney is this werewolf, the one that left the claw marks in the floor in Gurge's room. I just don't think it's him. Here's why. Matt said that the claw marks in the room looked to be small for a full-size direwolf. I would assume that small for a full-size direwolf is probably very normal for a full-sized werewolf. Direwolves are large creatures. Werewolves are medium creatures. Chetney is a gnome, who's a small creature. Now, unless gnome werewolves become medium-sized werewolves when they transform, those claws probably don't belong to Chetney. That doesn't mean that Chetney can't also be a werewolf, though. If this is Lycans in Campaign 3, I hope it's actually the start of a real campaign arc. I'm talking like 2 levels here. Werewolves are by far my favorite bit of urban legend lore, and I love them in Dungeons & Dragons, so bring on the Lycans. The other theory I want to throw out there is actually in support and contrast to the video that I made the other day. If the real reason why Travis played Bell was that his original character wasn't ready yet, then I highly doubt that his real character is Chetney. It didn't take any effort for them to get him into the party, and I don't see why there's any reason Chetney couldn't have come in the same place that Bell came in. I just don't get it. This new bit of context makes me feel even stronger that it's very possible that Travis's more permanent character either is a character from Campaign 1 or is closely connected to someone that was played in Campaign 1. Hear me out. What if the reason that Travis wasn't ready is because he was waiting for the drop of Tal'Dorei Reborn? This book is coming out in January and is an updated version of the campaign setting that Matt originally wrote. And Matt specifically said that it would have information updating us on what happened the 20 years after Vox Machina's adventures. 20 years, and depending on when you call the end of their adventures, that plants us just 7 years before Campaign 3 starts. It's possible that whatever character Travis wants to play may contain some information that he doesn't feel comfortable putting out there to the rest of the world until after the book is released. Just an idea. Okay, rating time. Travis as Chetney is great. This little short-tempered OG is the man. The whole thing with he and Dorian makes me so happy. The only thing keeping me from making this a 10 out of 10 is that I don't know how he's going to level, much like Bell. Dorian nicknamed his new gnomish friend Chet, which didn't stick, but I still liked it. 6 out of 10. I know this is all accidental, but when Laudna is speaking telepathically to Imogen, she moves her arms around and speaks expressively, moving her hands all over the place during their mental conversation. I can imagine Laudna grinning, not saying anything, but still speaking with her hands in public, which would be terrifying and hilarious. 7 out of 10. Ashley pulling out the straw to reverse Bird Mama FCG. Cool, funny, also disgusting. 7 out of 10. And last but not least, we just gotta talk about the humor on this episode across the board. I can't tell you the number of moments where I had to resist laughing out loud audibly because people in my house were asleep. I gotta give this a 10 out of 10. This is hands down the funniest episode of Campaign 3 so far. You can get a 10 out of 10 too by making a mage hand out of that like button, hitting subscribe. I just want to hit at least 500 by the new year, and then going to the comments section. Like, that's what most of my joy comes from in this channel, is talking to people in the comments and seeing what their theories are, what things they liked more than I liked or that I missed. I love it. So head on down there and I will see you, I guess, in the new year. No, you know what? Screw that. I'll make some videos between now and then. Peace.